Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for being here. As Premier of Newfoundland and Labrador, I want to take a few minutes and take this opportunity to address the information that was provided earlier today by Nalcor Energy CEO Stan Marshall. First, as opposition leader, and from day one as Premier, I've had nothing but questions on the Muskrat Falls Project. These were questions that were left unanswered by a string of former premiers and a string of former ministers. Now, since taking office, issues attached to Muskrat Falls have continued to come to light. We have seen loss of schedule. We have seen cost increases over the past few years that reflect on a project that was poorly planned, a project that had no meaningful engagement, that was ill-conceived and reckless. As Mr. Marshall outlined this morning, this province is now responsible for contractor claims totaling almost $400 million. If you add the Estelle changes and the Ballard changes, that would be over $800 million. These costs are a result of claims made by contractors who are impacted by project delays and construction changes. And we know that most of these costs are from inherited issues that were never fully captured till now. Past leaders and administrators may look at these costs and say, well, it's a cost of doing business. These increases clearly lay out the cost of neglect. I've just received a risk management review from the Lower Churchill project that was conducted in 2013, just after sanctioning. Emera had not even sanctioned this project at that time. When reading this with the benefit of hindsight, the precision in which the current struggles of the project are outlined is incredible, and we will share this report with you. The report clearly identifies risk, many of which the project is now realizing. It's shocking to read this report and know that the former CEO knew of these risks 4 years ago, when they could have probably mitigated against them, and the response was to do nothing. Clearly, I hope that he at least gave it to his board, or at least gave it to government. The report references contract issues, it references work delays, the possibility of protest interruptions, talks about poor engagement with Indigenous governments and organizations. It also identifies things like accommodation issues, construction type timelines, and labor availability. We face the reality that the previous government was meticulous in at least one aspect of this project, which was locking the people of the province into contracts with no flexibility and no options. What we've heard today is that these inherited issues continue to be a challenge for the people of Newfoundland and Labrador. 5 years after sanctioning, we are left managing a project that was destined for cost overruns and schedule delays. Now, we take these concerns very seriously and realize that we have to get this project in the best possible position. Putting the Muskrat Falls project on a more stable footing is a priority of our government. We are also steadfast in our commitment in keeping electricity rates competitive. Our vision for the province does not include doubling of electricity rates. It may have been acceptable for the previous administration, but it's not acceptable for mine. Rates must remain competitive. Our successful negotiation of the extended federal loan guarantee will go a long way in helping the province manage the cost of the project. The benefits of the guarantee mean that the province doesn't need to put in as much equity. It gives relief and savings to potential borrowing costs of nearly $2 billion. But the agreement also addresses a number of other concerns. The cost overrun account, which alleviates significant pre-funding obligations for the province. In 2016, the government would have had to put in some $870 million into this project in the cost overrun escrow account. In 2017, it would have been responsible for another $550 million, and in 2018, another $550 million. So we've been able to negotiate changes, and the $870 million we did not have to put that in December of this year. Also, one of the conditions was a sinking fund repayment and date certainty. Under the old agreement, the province would have had to begin repayment on its loans in 2018. Those changes have been made. Given that the project schedule has changed, we have negotiated date changes in the agreement which saves the province from having to make loan repayment before the project is complete. This agreement is critical in improving our ability to reduce future electricity rates once the project comes online. The additional loan guarantee also complements the $210 million that we've allocated in this year's budget to bring electricity rates down beginning in 2020, 2021. And in subsequent years, you will see a forecast of some $245 million in the out years. We have also committed to undertaking future work to define mitigation actions that protect your rates. And we will continue to work with Mr. Marshall and his team at Nalcor Energy to identify opportunities to bring greater accountability and oversight to this project for the benefits of our residents. As Premier, I fully appreciate the difficult tasks that Mr. Marshall and the newly appointed Board of Directors have in front of them. We will continue to have engagement and dialogue with our Indigenous leaders. We as a government have invested a lot of time and resources into correcting the course of this project. We've been making strides, and we will continue to look into the future of what the Muskrat Falls Project will mean to the people of our province in 2 years, in 5 years, and in 20 years. So I now invite Minister Coady to address the room.
Thank you, Premier. This morning, Nalcor CEO Stan Marshall shared new project baseline information regarding the Muskrat Falls project. Originally sold to the people of the province as a $6.2 billion project, we now know it will cost $10.1 plus financing. Literally billions of dollars in inherited problems due to the former government's lack of controls and abysmal understanding of fiscal and project management. As the Premier indicated, we now have a 2013 risk assessment report which is being given to you, which foreshadows exactly the predicament we now find ourselves in, now as a province and as a people. The report identifies numerous serious issues around the project. This is going back to 2013, around the powerhouse construction, around early work delays, the concerns of the Indigenous peoples, cost overages, and controlled issues. As the Premier indicated, we've always questioned this project. The galling thing is there were severe risks identified that were either simply ignored, not addressed, or even assigned any credibility for that matter, and we understand they would not even accept the report. Shame on them. The former government's poor assumptions, lack of controls, dismal knowledge of project management, and complete lack of understanding of the energy marketplace has led us to where we are today. However, despite the fact that we inherited a very difficult situation, we are working diligently and methodically to get the project under control. One of our goals on coming into office was to determine the cost, schedule, and associated risks of the Muskrat Falls project. And we have done just that. We accepted all of EY's recommendations to ensure better controls of the project. We appointed a credible, world-renowned CEO, Stan Marshall, who's been cleaning up the project and putting it on a stronger foundation. He said he's never worked as hard in his life, and we thank him for it. We appointed a highly qualified members to a new expanded board of directors at Nalcor, including new chair, global business leader Brendan Paddock. This board was appointed based on a list of recommendations provided by the Independent Appointments Commission. and we expanded the Muskrat Falls Oversight Committee to include the appointment of new independent members who've come with a wealth of knowledge and experience in such things as engineering, economics, corporate governance, finance, and business management. The result is better management, better controls, and better outcomes. 75% of construction is complete, up from 48% last year. That's a 27% increase in just 1 year. And the transmission line between Churchill Falls and Muskrat Falls is now 95% complete. The Labrador Island transmission link from Muskrat Falls to the Avalon Peninsula is 81% complete, up from 43% this time last year. As a government, we have consistently questioned the decision-making process of the previous administration on this project. Knowing why decisions were made as they were, what assumptions were used to justify the project, and why costs were not accurate must be clearly understood so that we never find ourselves in this position again in this province. Someone must be held accountable. Our commitment to you is to ensure the best controls are in place for this project and to work to manage electricity rate increases associated with the poor decisions made by the PCs to do this project in the first place. Thank you.